Hey guys, it's your girl Antonia, and we're back in here on my travel vlog. I know it's been a while, sorry for the delay, but I do want to thank you for subscribing and for returning to see where we're heading off to next. This time, we're visiting the beautiful country, Colombia, and the city we will be arriving in is Cartagena. I'll be sharing with you guys some of what I've experienced, from the culture, the adventures, the entertainment, the food, and the lifestyle. So make sure you guys like, subscribe, and turn on that notification bell so you can be notified for which country I'm taking on next.
Colombia, esta es la última llamada que la puerta F para formar su avión.
Being that we are in the times of the pandemic, it was mandatory in order for us to arrive in Colombia, we had to take a COVID test. The COVID test had to have a negative results within 48 hours of your time of departure to your destination, which you can get at a doctor or local pharmacy like CVS and so forth. With a negative test, we were able to receive the approval to travel to Colombia. We were also advised that in order for us to return to the United States, we had to take a COVID test as well in Colombia. But we'll get into more details about that later on in the video. I flew out of Miami International Airport. Luckily, I didn't have any layovers, which left my flight to be about 2 hours and 45 minutes until I got to Colombia. As soon as we got off the flight, the first thing we're greeted with is customs. And that's just dealing with the paperwork and letting them know where we're staying and how long we plan to stay there for. Here's a little bit of quick details about this city. Cartagena is a city and major port on the northern coast of Colombia in the Caribbean coast region. During the colonial era, Cartagena was the key port for the export of Peruvian silver to Spain and for the import of enslaved Africans under the Asiento system. I actually stumbled upon this trip accompanying a friend who was undergoing a dental procedure while we were there. So if you see my friend throughout this video, that's my friend Tori. Hey Tori.
Okay, cool. So we're about to get these facial treatments. Rose Medical Spa, Colombia. What's their names?
What are your names? ¿Qué tu nombres, mamis?
My name is Lina.
That's
My name is
Malika.
Malika.
Malika. Hola.
Hola.
Ooh.
I'm so excited.
Right in front of my hotel was a huge mall, about 4 floors, filled mixed with high-end to medium name brand stores. Beautiful merchandise. And on the 4th floor, there's a dining hall with tons of different varieties of restaurants, but I needed a special permit to record, so that ended early.
¿Por qué?
No es permitido acá, son políticas del centro comercial.
Oh, I gotta have a permit? Oh.
The Western Union is located inside here, which is where I went to exchange my money from dollars to Colombian pesos. 1 United States dollar is 3,635 mil pesos and 35 cents. At night, we made a visit to the old town of Cartagena, or the old city, some would say. We went to eat at a restaurant called Conde. I highly recommend anyone that's visiting this place to experience their authentic food while enjoying the free entertainment and live band that plays Latin music. The service was phenomenal.
Voy pensando dónde poderte encontrar, aunque vayas donde vayas, al fin del mundo yo iré para entregarte mi cariñito, porque nací para ti.
They used cigar boxes as a placeholder for the check, which was pretty clever to me. This area is the most visited tourist attraction in Cartagena. The beautiful and colorful streets, stunning colonial architecture, and wealth of amazing restaurants, bars, and museums make it an incredibly attractive place for Colombian travelers to spend a few days.
Muchos de mí hablaron, muchos criticaron. Gracias a toda la gente mía, nunca me dejaron. Antes yo le oraba a Dios para comprarme un carro. caen diario. Sin embargo no me canso, sigo dando palos. Vamos a pegar un día de esto pa' salir del bar. No te pongas.
Here are some things to know about the walled city of Old Cartagena, Colombia. Cartagena has become one of South America's most vibrant cities. When visiting Walled City, you'll spot the palanqueras, who are women in colorful dresses balancing bowls of tropical fruit on their heads. With such beautiful smiles and colorful wear, they're great for photos, so make sure to leave a tip. There are hundreds of beautiful restaurants within Walled City, but don't overlook the street food, which also includes beautiful exotic Caribbean fruit. The area has a lot of street vendors selling anything from handmade shoes to knockoff Ray-Bans. And that's what I really enjoy about traveling, just grabbing handmade items just to go and, embracing the culture. Luckily, I was able to squeeze in a trip to a museum. Many of the museums were closed or open during certain hours or days due to COVID. But I stumbled upon one called the Palace of Inquisition. It cost roughly 66,000 pesos, which is about 20 in United States dollars. I was given a tour by an awesome man who spoke both English and Spanish and was very informative and educated about his history here. Just to give you a little background on this palace, which was established in the 18th century and held the seat of the Holy Office of the Inquisition. It currently serves as a museum showcasing historical artifacts. Among the many historical artifacts, the museum displays torture equipment used on victims during the Inquisition. And for those who don't know what an Inquisition is, there were times in the Catholic Church where there was a period of prolonged and intensive questioning or investigations to witches or for religious persecution. Cartagena was a center of Spanish trade and military power during the colonial era. Therefore, it made sense to set up an office of the Inquisition, which was also used to enforce the power of the Catholic Church and the Spanish. Downstairs houses the Inquisition Museum with exhibits on the Inquisition along with examples of the torture devices. Upstairs houses the Cartagena Historical Museum with exhibits of the history of the city. There are also art exhibits and occasional temporary exhibits. The building also houses the city's historic archives. Here you also learn about the indigenous people who inhabited the area before the arrival of the Spanish, including about the village of Calamari, which stood where the historic walled city stands today. Cartagena played an important and wealthy trading center role during the colonial period. There's a neat floor map that shows the transatlantic trade and puts into perspective Cartagena's strategic location. There are also exhibits on the legacy of the slave trade in the city and on the pirate attacks on the city. Cartagena was the only designated slave port in Spanish held in South America. You also learn the history of Cartagena's independence here. Cartagena played a leading role in the independence of Colombia. The city declared itself a sovereign state on November 11, 1811, becoming the first place in present-day Colombia to successfully establish a fully independent state. Along the beach, they offer water sports, such as snorkeling, jet skiing, flyboarding, and more. There's cruises to watch the sunset, bike tours around the city, and more activities for couples or families. Beach life was on point. There's tons of lunch stands on the beach. The customer service was the best. Food, drinks, and beautiful weather is a moment in itself. As of 2018, Cartagena has a population of 1,028,736 people, according to the census, making it the second largest city in the region after Barranquilla and the fifth largest city in Colombia. Colombia has three major cities: Bogotá, Cali, and Medellin. Cartagena is about 19 hours driving south to Cali, holding about 2.4 million people. Bogotá is 16 hours south, holding about 8 million people. And Medellin has about 2.5 million people in their city and is about 11 hours south from Cartagena. It only takes an hour by plane to travel to each of these locations from Cartagena. Shout out to my cab driver. At this point, it's expected I make friends everywhere I go. Now we're off to El Volcán de Lodo El Totumo, also known as the Totumo Volcano or the Mud Volcano. The volcano is an hour north of Cartagena and an hour south of Barranquilla. It's a local tourist destination and is popular for its alleged healing mud bath. It receives most of its visitors from Cartagena. Along with this, it is the smallest volcano in the country. The mound has a staircase that leads to the crater, which can accommodate about 10 to 15 people at a time. There, tourists bathe in dense, warm mud and have the option of receiving personal massages from the attendants. The experience is then followed by a bath in a nearby lagoon to remove the mud. I really enjoyed this, especially after feeling the comparison of my skin to before the bath. It was amazing. After the volcano experience, I was ready to eat some fried fish and rice. The restaurant was only minutes away. There were villages nearby selling items, produce, and more. Before we returned to the States, A negative COVID test was to also be reported within a few days prior to our departure. We had to pay roughly $25 for this exam, and the results were also sent to our email. Alongside of where we stayed was a naval military base, which allows you to walk near the docks and check out some of the scenery. I highly recommend visiting this place. You can never lose with a reasonable budget, not a long time spent on a flight, and a beautiful culture to explore. If you guys have any questions, please sure to leave it in the comments below. Like, share, and subscribe. And thank you guys again for watching.